Crysencio Summerville could be set for a Premier League move after we've had a little bit of news out from an actual source about solid interest from a Premier League club. This is not rumour mill kind of stuff that's been dredged up from somewhere or other. This is like the source that everyone considers fairly strong for Fabrizio Romano, and I think that it fires the starting pistol on the Crysencio Summerville race. So, hopping straight into it, this is going to be a relatively short video because a bit busy today, but what's the story? Basically, Fabrizio Romano has tweeted out that there is interest in Crysencio Summerville from a Premier League club, that Premier League club being Brighton. Brighton feels like a sort of club that would definitely have an interest in Summerville. They tend to look at very young, very promising players from all around the world and look for some like fairly good deals, decent value. And in this case, finding Crysencio Summerville Championship Player of the Year, not promoted, means that we can't demand the highest possible fee. It makes sense for them, similar to how they signed João Pedro. However, Romano also noted that this is not an easy one, with many clubs being keen. Now, the reason that I'm specifically using Romano as the source and saying you can probably trust him is because of how Romano operates. Basically, he tends to work very, very closely with agents and clubs to make sure that he's got as much of the story as possible before he sends it out. Basically, a lot of the time, an agent or a club that is looking at buying a player will just tell him, look, we're making a bid for this player. Can you put out a tweet about it just to get some public traction going on the move? Which is fantastic for them. It means that they're going to have a better chance of securing the move. And in this case, it's kind of good for us because I doubt we're that desperate to sort of desperately cling on to Summerville because we know he's probably going to leave. Basically, he's got the inside track, and as a rule of thumb, he tends to only discuss things as certain. I have in the past called him a bit of a tap-in merchant because he'll wait for other journalists to do a hell of a lot of the work, wait till a move is basically done, then an agent will tell him, yeah, he's currently in Brighton, and then he'll tweet out about it just to make sure he gets that reputation of being 100% spot on. The few times he misses, he doesn't miss by that much, and basically, as a rule of thumb, this tells me that there is definitely interest from Brighton, but this could mean something specifically in terms of a fee as well. Basically, we've got a slight issue here in that Brighton tend to be very, very good negotiators. They're a team that have become well known for picking out affordable young talent, getting them at a relative bargain, and then selling them off for colossal profits. Think Moise Caicedo, think Marco Correa, all sorts of players. And I'm feeling like Crysencio Summerville, in their opinion, might fit into that little category. However, we're almost certainly going to hold out for as much money as possible because the video that I was writing to record before this one happened, I was effectively writing about the Max Wöber situation because we're demanding as much money as possible out of Mönchengladbach to the extent that they're thinking, I don't know if we'll be able to afford this move. We're saying 15 million euros for Max Wöber, who had a pretty good Bundesliga season last year, but nothing too special. This tells me that we'll definitely be holding out for a very, very good fee for Crysencio Summerville. And not only that, but it could kick off a colossal transfer race. You've got to remember in that tweet, and I'm very quickly going to do a screen share of the tweet actually, just to sort of show you it. Just make sure I found the right one. There we go. Bosh. Understand Brighton have made contact to start talks over a Crysencio Summerville deal. Not an easy one with many clubs keen, but Brighton have started initial talks to explore this possibility. So very early in this process, but you don't start talks without thinking we're probably going to try and sign this guy. But this is arguably the most important part of this for us, because it kicks off that transfer race, because the likes of a Liverpool and a Chelsea who have been monitoring recently aren't going to sort of take it lying down. They're not going to see Crysencio Summerville. There's moves for him, and someone's like trying to push for potential options and just sort of sit and take it. Because if Chelsea or Liverpool do want him, they will force themselves to become a big part of the conversation because they can offer Summerville European football, I think. Did Chelsea qualify in the right sort of place in the league last season? I think so. Either way, they can offer European football for sure. Brighton is a stepping stone, basically, and it depends on if he wants to take another step on a stepping stone or if he wants to go straight to the top and if he fancies himself. We know he's the sort of player that does fancy himself in these situations. He forced himself into the number 10 shirt for Leeds United. For me, that's very, very promising for a move to one of the larger clubs, or at least trying to force the larger clubs into getting in that conversation. That could ultimately force a bidding war, push the fee higher and higher and higher, and I can see it pushing towards maybe something £30 million-ish. if we're lucky, if things all work out. I kind of hope so. That'd be very, very nice, but we'll have to find out. In addition to that, when it comes to the Brighton conversation, it's not just a fee that we're looking at. Potentially, we could consider making a move for another youngster on loan or as part of the deal in terms of a swap. Brighton have a lot of very talented young footballers. That's without a doubt because that's their model. And they tend to use these footballers as negotiating chips, whether that's to sell them for a profit or to use them in loans. And we're in the sort of position where we could definitely do with a loan from Brighton for one of their more talented players, because we need right backs, we need centre backs, we will probably need wingers because we'll be down to Anthony's gone back, Summerville's potentially sold, Nonto's potentially sold. We'll be down to Dan James. Ruter, maybe Aronson can play there, but Brighton's young, talented wingers could be perfect here, and it's the same for Chelsea and Liverpool. They've also got really young, quality sides, and we can pick up a couple of those youth players, maybe on loan, just to sort of strengthen our own squad while still receiving a nice hefty fee. In addition to that, it is great for early movement. Early movement in a transfer window is spectacular, especially when you're in Leeds United's position, because no matter what, you're going to have all this annoying conversation around, well, will Leeds actually be okay financially? And this sort of answers those questions. If we're able to sell him quickly, because it'll be solved, it's fine. The sooner we get a sale, the better, basically. In addition to the financial reasoning, because it sets us up for a little bit more certainty in pre-season. Ahead of the season, you need to make sure that you know your squad. If you're Daniel Farke, you need to say, okay, this player, this player, this player will be part of that starting front three, and let's train them to work together, teach them about structure. It'll all work out. Selling him means that we've got a little bit more certainty about not having Summerville, and it means that we can make the early moves ourselves with a little bit more of a padded out budget. Selling Crysencio Summerville will be huge for our transfer budget in addition to sorting out the cash flow stuff. So the moment we do all that, we can start looking elsewhere for players. Yes, it probably won't be the likes of Silas now as much as I'd love it, but there's players all over the world of football that we can make a move for that would be spectacular at Leeds United and make the difference in that little bit of a push for promotion. Summerville being sold isn't perfect for Leeds. I'd love to have him another year, but it's not going to happen. And since Brighton have entered this race, it's going to look significantly nicer for us, I think, because that gets the starting pistol fired, gets people talking, and it gets the move happening. But ultimately, I want to know what you think. Let me know where you think Crysencio Summerville will go. Let me know what you think is going to happen for Leeds United in the rest of this window. And just let me know your thoughts in general. Is Summerville moving the right move for Leeds United? How quickly are we going to act? Are you feeling good about the transfer window? Let me know in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe. You could even become a channel member if you fancy. And yeah, I will see you later. You know what? I'm going to do the thing again. I'm going to say, if you've stuck to the end of the video, comment down below, Wonder Kid. Because that's kind of what Summerville's been for us. He's been a wonder kid. See you later.